All right, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order the 300th meeting of the Board of Governors here in beautiful Atlanta. If you are looking at us through Zoom, welcome. I want to now call on Jonathan Pennell to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance. So John, if you come up. Right there.
Everybody, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, John. All right, I will now call on Judge Stacy Hydrant for the invocation.
Good morning. The word invocation is defined by Merriam-Webster as the act or process of petitioning for help or support, specifically a prayer. I recognize that all of us are members of different faiths, and we may hold very different beliefs. Some are atheists or agnostic, while others are Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, Baha'i, or perhaps are members of a religion I am not familiar with. And while I am Jewish, my prayer for today is intended for everyone, regardless of your individual religious affiliation or spiritual orientation. Dear God, we thank you for this opportunity to be here with our friends and colleagues. May we listen to one another intently and learn from each other's views with the purpose of bettering ourselves and our communities. May we humbly accept the many responsibilities assigned to us and carry them out to the best of our abilities, and with grace, humility, and compassion. And may we always seek justice with the utmost professionalism, integrity, and civility that our profession demands. We thank you, God, for the privilege of working with so many individuals from diverse cultures and backgrounds. May we celebrate our similarities and embrace our differences. And while we may not always agree, may we learn to accept and understand each other's perspectives and opinions. As someone who is Jewish, I would be remiss if I did not also pray for the state of Israel and the Jewish people after the violent attacks against them on October the 7th. God, we pray that you bring all the remaining men, women, and children who are still being held hostage back home to their families quickly and safely. We pray that you bring an end to the vitriol and hatred we are witnessing on our college campuses and throughout our cities, and that you stop the exponential rise of anti-Semitism that has reared its ugly head in the past few months. Above all, we pray that you shed light on the recent darkness, that you heal the existing brokenness, and that you bring peace to each and every one of us. Amen.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, I would now like to recognize some special guests that we have with us today. And some are participating by Zoom, via Zoom. First, Chief Justice Michael Boggs, Presiding Justice Nels Peterson, Justice Sarah Warren, and her wonderful daughter Elizabeth, who is here and is participating. Even though she brought a book, she tells us that she's really going to pay attention. So Elizabeth, I'm going to ask you some questions at the end of this meeting, so take good notes. I say that in jest, don't worry about that. All right, also recognize Justice Charles Bethel, Justice John Ellington, Justice Carla McMillan, Justice Verda Colvin, Justice Andrew Pinson, and from the Court of Appeals, we have Presiding Judge Sarah Doyle, Presiding Judge Christopher McFadden, Judge Ken Hodges, Judge Ben Land, and Judge Jeff Watkins. Why don't we give those justices and judges a round of applause? Also with us are past presidents, including Sally Akins, Bill Barwick, Bill Cannon, Robin Clark, Hal Daniel, Elizabeth Fite, Ken Hodges, Robert Ingram, Don Jones, Bob Kaufman, Linda Klein, George Mundy, Pat O'Connor, who we are all so glad to see here and walking around. And I saw him dancing last night. So Pat, it's so good to see you. Buck Rogers is also here, John Salmon, Ken Shigley, Lester Tate, and last but not least, Daryl Sutton. So thank you all for being here and supporting this great organization. I would now like to call on Lynn Horton to come up. Lynn, are you Thank you. Lynn has been the executive director of the Georgia Bar Foundation since 1986. That's almost 38 years. He has come here this morning to introduce his successor now that he is retiring. But before he does that, I want us to recognize him and thank him for the absolutely wonderful job and service that he has done to the State Bar of Georgia and to hundreds of law-related organizations and thousands of needful Georgians. He fought hard to keep IOLTA alive when lawsuits were filed challenging the constitutionality of that program. And with the support of this organization and the Supreme Court of Georgia, IOLTA survived and now is thriving. He went to the bankers, and with the help of Joe Brannon and the Georgia Bankers Association, he worked hard to earn their support. And then with the help of Senator Johnny Isakson and former State Bar President Jimmy Franklin, he organized a national effort to get full FDIC insurance coverage added to IOLTA accounts after they were dropped. And perhaps most importantly, he has overseen more than $110 million in grants awarded to just about every law-related organization in Georgia, concentrating on Georgia Legal Services and Atlanta Legal Aid. So Lynn, thank you very much for your tireless work and efforts. And if you could please introduce your successor, and let's give Lynn a round of applause.
Thank you.
This is awesome. I need a video of this to show my really close friends or whatever. My goodness. Anyway, thank you so much. What an incredible collection of words you just said, and I thank you for that, Mr. President. And I have to add a couple of comments about this experience, which is almost 38 years. Perhaps the part that is the most incredible part, the part that I love the most about this position is all the incredible people I have gotten to know and to learn from is absolutely amazing. For example, Hal Daniel, who dreamed up the idea of the Bar Center, is an incredible human being I've gotten to learn so much from. Chief Justice Hunstein. Is there anybody more totally focused on access to justice? It's truly amazing. Chief Justice Harold Clark. Oh, what I learned from him. And I'm still learning, and our liaison justice, John Ellington. I thank you as well, but also thank other folks that I wanted to acknowledge had so much meaning for me. One is Judge Bobby Chastain. My goodness. Do you realize, by the way, that he remembers everything that he reads? And I also want to acknowledge Bob Brinson, and I'm pleased to say that he does not remember everything he reads. And I can identify with that. I also want to thank Linda Klein and for her incredible example. It's truly mind-boggling how much of an influence she's been on me, but also the bar and the legislature. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate her. But I also want to say a couple of things. I want to thank some staff, because I have been known to be someone who is not timid about making telephone calls. And the number of times I have bothered Paula Frederick, Jenny Middleman, and Bill Neesmith with all my questions. And I guarantee you there'll be new questions that will be coming in soon. And anyway, thank you for your patience and for your educating me about how to analyze various things and how to look for the meaning in those words. I appreciate your help so very much. But I also want to say one thing that I can't get over how exciting this is for me, and that is that this fiscal year, 2023, 2024, has begun as the single best year for IOLTA revenues in the history of IOLTA in Georgia, and that makes me very excited. And I hope you're excited about that too, which brings me to the next topic, which is what I'm really up here for, is to introduce my successor, who I know is going to take IOLTA to new levels that will astound even me. And so anyway, her name is Rachel Barnhard, and she brings to us an incredible background as an administrator. She has a background in public health and emergency services at Emory and a couple of other places. So by the way, she's an EMT in case any of you get sick on us. She could help. She, unlike people who are just Atlanta people, while she's an Atlanta girl, she knows a whole lot about almost every place in this state from what she learned when she's in public health. And as you'll discover, her people skills are off the chart. But to me, the thing that's most exciting to tell you about Rachel Barnhard is one piece of information that I doubt that anybody else has run into either, and I just find it fascinating. She earned a BA from the University of Georgia, cum laude, in Germanic and Slavic languages. So you know this is a very special person. Rachel, would you please come up here and say a few words, introduce yourself, and thank you for taking over, and I'm looking forward to it. Rachel Barnhard.
I don't know if I can reach. I'm on my tippy toes. Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you all and to be here this morning. I have obviously huge shoes to fill, and I think that's the thing that has impressed me most. And I'm very excited to be here and to get to try to fill those shoes. At this point, I'm asking more questions than I'm answering, but I am here, so do reach out to me. The foundation, we are still moving forward with everything that we have been doing and more. So I'm around, and I'd love to meet you today. But my information is also on the website. So feel free to reach out to me anytime with your questions, and I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Lynn, for all that. I would now like to call on our Secretary, Bill Gentry, for the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the funnest part of this job is getting emails from Board of Governors members around the state saying, I was actually at that meeting. Why does it show as a you? So to help me and everybody else, we've got several copies of the roll going around the room right now. Please sign it. And then we'll pick it up at the end. If you happen to miss it, just send me an email. If you are participating by Zoom, we will pick up your name from your Zoom handle. But if it's, ABC 1, 2, 3, we won't. So you're going to have to let us know. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill. For future meetings, we will be at Brownstown Valley for the spring meeting in April, on April 19th to the 21st of this year. And then we will be back at Amelia Island at the Omni there on June 6th through the 9th. So those are the future meetings of the Board of Governors. The other meetings are in your board book. I believe it's page 14. And now we'll call on our President-elect Ivy to talk to us about what his plans are with regard to meetings for the following year.
Good morning, members of the Board of Governors. Thank you, President Del Campo. I have been working to get our meetings set. I know everybody has busy schedules, so we have selected locations and dates, I believe, for all of the meetings for my upcoming year. Our first year, we had such a good time at President Del Campo's fall meeting that we're going to return to Jekyll Island The Jekyll Island Club is one of the best site visits I went on when looking for somewhere to stay. They even made it work out so that we could do it while we were down there for this fall meeting. So it's a great property. It's historic. It's everything coastal Georgia has to offer. So we're working on the contract with them, but we're about ready to pull the trigger on everything. If you were outside yesterday in the weather and the wonderful weather that Atlanta has offered us pretty much since I got on the Board of Governors, I remember a fateful meeting up around the perimeter one year when it snowed and I think schools were closed, and that was the coldest hotel I have ever been in. And so in looking at the options for the mid-year meeting, Linda Klein gave me great counsel. She's like, why don't we go back to Savannah? We used to go to Savannah and the weather was wonderful. And so we are planning to go back to Savannah. We have the JW Marriott Savannah Plant Riverside, which is an amazing hotel property. If you have not been there, my parents, being from Swainsboro, go to Savannah quite a lot, and they were telling me about this property, and they had these big geodes and a silver dinosaur and stuff, and I was like, huh. My brain couldn't really comprehend it. And now that I've been and seen it, my brain really still kind of can't comprehend it. I think the gentleman who started Days Inn or some budget brand hotel collected a bunch of stuff. He decided I need somewhere to put all my stuff and I'm going to put it in this hotel. And so we get to go enjoy it. So it's pretty fun. And then the next, we're planning to go to Athens. We're looking at Hyatt Place, which we had a meeting there before. They have a lovely rooftop bar. I think the Jekyll Island Club, due to its historic nature, is the only place that we have that does not have a rooftop bar that is in our planned meeting schedule. So the JW has one, Hyatt Place has one. That was a great spring meeting that we had a couple years ago, and so I thought we'd go back. And then the annual meeting, to mix it up a little bit, but to still let everybody get their beach fix, is planned for Sawgrass. They have a great Marriott atrium style hotel, so you can look down at the bar and see who's there and see who you want to see and maybe who you don't want to see. That's okay. And then the other thing, since we'll be in Florida and it's hot in June, you do not have to go outside to go to the conference room, so you don't melt. If you've gotten yourself, looking nice, you don't have to walk from the villas or whatever I gave poor Damon a hard time about at Amelia. So that should be fun. And I guess this is my most important announcement. At this time, we are not planning to have a hybrid option for my meetings. We are looking at having a live cast so that if you want to know what's going on, you can come in, and it's a lot easier and a lot less disruptive to just have that camera back there broadcast our meetings onto a YouTube type platform, so that if a Board of Governors member can't be there or won't be there, then you can watch, you can see what's going on, and you can still keep your members informed. And just in my experience and in talking to people, I think the human connection element of our meetings is super, super important. The business that goes on in the hallways and goes on at the dinner and goes on as you're sitting there next to each other saying, can you believe he said that? That's the important business of the bar. And we have these meetings as part of our programs. And in my opinion, the connections that are made between our members are as or more important than the business we do at most of these meetings, because they allow us to elevate the level of the business that we do. And so at this time, it's my plan to have an option that you can observe the meetings, but without all the kind of fussiness of a hybrid meeting where we're elevating people. People can't hear this. They can't get their technology to work. I genuinely just think with the number of members we have, it's unreasonable to think that everybody can get all this to work perfectly and not be disruptive. And you miss the human connection. You can be on the golf course with your earbuds in, listening to the meeting, and be counted president. And maybe that's not great behavior, but I just don't think that's acceptable. So with that, I'm excited about the future meeting schedule. I think we have a wonderful group of people. It is really fun to look out and see all of you today. This is the best attendance we have had at a meeting in some time. I have enjoyed seeing everybody at the YLD Signature Fundraiser, which was a big hit. Well done. Thank you. And so I just look forward to another year of great connection. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ivy. I didn't see too many arrows coming this way. So
Not
that's
yet.
probably a good thing. All right, we're now we're gonna move to our action items, but before we do, I wanna, for the folks who are participating by Zoom, again, just, please be patient, and I should have, made these remarks at the beginning of the meeting. I failed to do that. I apologize for that. This meeting is being recorded. Just a friendly reminder to be aware that, you're putting in Zoom chat as it is open to the public and members of the media and others might be present to see that. Again, as Bill said, just make sure your name is, said publicly so that we can count you present. Again, chat is enabled but will not be monitored for questions. Q&A will be enabled and will be monitored. If you have a question and do not wish to speak, you may use the Q&A feature and it'll be monitored by our Executive Director, Damon, who's seated right here to my left, who will let me know if there are questions. Only board members are allowed to vote, and we are using Point Solutions as the voting platform, and you will use the Point Solutions app on your mobile device if you are participating remotely. And the website is ttpoll.com on your computer or the clicker provided if you are here. We are not voting through Zoom polls. The instructions at each seat, they're also emailed again Saturday morning if you choose to use the app here. And if you're using the call-in number and not your computer or mobile device, you will not be able to vote. Please make sure you use that same device from start to finish. Do not sign on multiple devices. If you're in person or using a clicker, please do not sign in on a mobile device as well. If you're in person and need help, raise your hand and a member of our staff will assist you. If you're virtual and need help, you can email Kendall Harville at Kindle, that's KINDALLH @gabar.org. So those are the Zoom instructions for you. So why don't we start? Does everybody have their clickers? Anybody not have a clicker? Raise your hand. All right. Tony Del Campo there does not have a clicker. So somebody get him a clicker, please. All right. So why don't we put the test poll question, Jennifer? What's that? Yeah. All right. Do I have this point? Yeah. Well, so far so good.
We are not black, right? We are black.
Ivy, did you make this up?
I did not sabotage this in any way. Plausible deniability.
All right.
There we go.
All right. The poll question is, what type of pet person are you? All right. All right, why don't you publish the results? All right, we are dog people. All right. Okay, I'm going to call on Bill Gentry for the minutes of the 299th meeting of the Board of Governors. Bill.
Mr. President, I present for consideration by the Board of Governors the minutes of the 299th meeting of the Board of Governors that happened on October 28th, 2023.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the 299th meeting of the Board of Governors as presented? Is there a second? Any discussion? David, no discussion. All right, great. All in favor, say, all in favor, say, do we have a vote on the clicker, right? Yes. Vote the clicker. Okay, post poll. All right, they are approved. Two people don't get that. All right. Okay, Bill Neesmith, I'll call on for the rules. Proposed rules and bylaws changes.
Good morning, everybody. All right, in your board books, we'll begin with proposed rules and bylaws changes. We'll do the rule first, and then we have a little procedure we got to go through to do the bylaw. So look on page 21. And you'll see that's the executive summary. The rule begins on the very next page, Rule 1.8, conflicts of interest, prohibited transactions. And the purpose of the change, it adopts the American Bar Association model rules, 1.8 specifically concerning modest gifts to clients who are being represented pro bono. And so the change would allow lawyers representing indigent clients in pro bono cases to offer modest gifts to indigent clients for essentials such as food, rent, transportation, medicine, for basic living expenses. And who would be affected by this is lawyers representing clients pro bono, nonprofit legal services, public interest organizations, law school clinical programs, such like as that. Oh, okay. I thought I did something wrong. No. All right. It prohibits lawyers, though, from making promises or assurances of the availability of such gifts in the current representation or matter or any other lawyer-client relationship before or even after being retained. It does go on into, I'm going to skip to the comments for 1 second, because into the comments, it does say that this does not apply to contingency fee cases or cases which have fee shifting, a fee shifting statute, you know, like where you make an offer and compromise or whatever, and it would shift the burden of the fees, even if you said no to the fees and did not receive any of the fees. So anyway, this emphasizes, like I said, that lawyers still cannot provide financial financial support, such as a loan or something like that for a lawsuit or administrative procedures. And we've always been able to do certain things, like, for instance, if it was, you can always pay for a deposition. We've even said it's fine that if you wanted to pay for a client to be able to have transportation to court or to a deposition or something like that. But this enhances it a little bit more. And so that's the rule that is before you.
All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the proposed amendment to Rule 1.8, conflict of interest, prohibited transactions as presented? Is there a second? All right. Any discussion? Okay, if you would please put the vote up. Okay, publish a poll for the vote. All right, motion passes. All right, we are next going to do a vote on a change to the bylaws, and that has to be done by a plenary session. So I'm going to adjourn the 300th Board of Governors meeting and call to order the plenary session of membership of the State Bar of Georgia. So any lawyer, not just Board of Governors, can vote on this. If you are a member of the State Bar of Georgia and would like to vote and you do not have a clicker, please raise your hand so that one can be given to you. I see some folks in the back. If you are here in the Leadership Academy and you're a member of the State Bar, you can vote, so you can raise your hand and be given. All right, everybody's got their clickers. All right. All right, Bill? Sorry.
Okay, this particular bylaw amendment is on page 30 in your materials. And the objective of this is just presenting a proposed amendment to enhance the clarity in our bylaws on who has voting rights and committee quorum requirements. In other words, who counts toward quorum. And it's supposed to provide clear guidelines for committee voting and quorum by ex officio members and their quorum contributions, and non-voting liaison and advisory members. So we had some confusion in some of our committees as to, well, could the liaison person vote? Could the ex officio member vote? And so, and there are different ways of looking at that, even in Robert's Rules of Order. So what this does is it makes it very clear that an ex officio member can vote and does contribute to the quorum, and a liaison or advisory member cannot vote and cannot add to quorum. So that just makes it clearer and makes things a lot easier to decide how we, whether we do have quorum, don't have quorum, who can vote and who cannot vote. So that's it.
Thank you, Bill. All right, is there a motion to approve the proposed amendment to Article 8, Committees, generally Sections 1 and 2 as presented? Is there a second? There's a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All right, let's put up the vote. All right, 140, so we got some additional members. Okay. All right, that passes. Okay, so I will now adjourn the plenary session of the membership of the State Bar of Georgia and reconvene to order the 300th Board of Governors meeting. And if you are not a Board of Governors member, if you could please return the clickers just to make sure we don't get folks that are voting when they're not supposed to. And Bill, while they're doing that, you can go ahead and move on to the next proposal.
All right. Okay. The next proposal is a proposal for a new section. This new section is called the white collar section, and it's found on page 44 of your materials. And if you'll look at Exhibit A on page 45, it just says it what it is. It's I don't know that I can say it any better. That it just says that instead of duplicating any of the other sections such as business litigation, criminal law, technology law, civil litigation, securities litigations, compliance, and corporate governance, it's an amalgamation of all of those. And so they did follow our model bylaws as they were supposed to. Added an interesting feature of putting a YLD person on their board. And so it meets all of our our rules compliance, our model bylaws compliance. It doesn't, the only question I suppose anybody could have is if it duplicates, but like they said, they think it does not, because it's an amalgamation of all of these professions to sort of synthesize it into one group.
All right, thank you, Bill. Is there a motion to approve the proposed white collar section as presented? All right, so a motion or a second? All right, any discussion? Okay, please put up the vote. Okay. All right, section is approved. Okay, now this was initially put as an action item on standing board policy 1000, but it will be informational only, so I'll call on our executive director, Damon Elmore, to talk to us about that.
Thanks, Tony. Good morning. Page 57 in your board book has a copy of a proposed standing board policy 1000. As Tony has spoiled it, it is informational only. But here's a little bit behind it. You know, over the past 3 years, we've been focused on fundamentals. And part of that process was to ensure our programs and publications or other activities were/remain consistent with our mission and the major activities of the mandatory bar. At times, that's meant we've needed to ask, can we do it different? Or how can we be sure this is consistent with our mission and purpose? Sometimes we've had to say no. And we realized those determinations and discussions took on a because tone, and it was often difficult for our department managers and directors to work around and support. So this is that reminder. This is that reminder of our structure. It's a reminder of our guiding principles, primarily set forth in Rule 1-103 and consistent with the reinforcing of Keller. It's also a reminder that we will be sure to review and evaluate articles or plans for adherence to these rules. And it's a reminder that the asks or questions or passes aren't the fault of our team members on the front line, but that people can blame the Board of Governors for it. It has been read twice by the executive committee, and while we don't believe that it's controversial or have any actual effort, we are sharing it for information now and consideration at the spring meeting. So I'm happy to answer any questions here or in the hall. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. Okay, I will now call on Sarah Cool to provide a recommendation from the Member Benefits Committee regarding docket alarm. And I think we have some folks who are participating by Zoom and some people here. Is that correct?
We do. I would like to call up Nkoyo and Sheila with me, please. So good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Cool. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the State Bar of Georgia, for those who don't know me. And I am here today to present this add-on feature to FastCase called Docket Alarm. So despite its name, Docket Alarm is not just a docket that you can go and look at. It is much more than that. It is a research database that lives alongside FastCase, enhancing members' research experience. And it is the nation's largest docket research repository with more than 700 million court records. So on page 58 of your board book, you guys have a handout that explains more about what it is and what benefits it would have to our members. I will go through some of those with you. You can see how a particular issue was argued in a brief. You can find examples of complaints in cases like yours and see the calculations of damages. You can find documents drafted by a particular attorney or rulings by a particular judge. You can track cases to receive updates, and you can also set alerts to be notified of new litigation meeting any parameter that you specify. You can find information such as the names of parties, dates of appearances before the court. You can read brief summaries. You can identify court filings and the underlying documents to those. And although dockets and court filings are not considered case law, they do not have precedential value. The information contained in those resources can sometimes help researchers better understand why a court issued a particular decision or opinion. So that's basically the usefulness of this new add-on subscription to Fastcase. Coverage includes the federal district courts, appellate courts, the Supreme Court, and bankruptcy courts, also the Court of International Trade, the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board, and the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, as well as most of the 159 counties in Georgia. We have been assured by Fastcase, if we do approve this today, that they will work on and making sure that all 159 counties in Georgia are included in that. So for you guys, there's no question about Fastcase as a member benefit. That's taken care of. What you guys are looking at today is adding this add-on benefit subscription of Docket Alarm. And that would be an additional $2.72 per member. Right now we pay $5.67 per member for Fastcase. So that would be a total of $8.39 per member. And just to give you some ideas of usage, in 2023, we had almost 8,000 unique members who used Fastcase, logging in for a total of 113,881 times throughout the year, viewing 1.5 million documents. Over the last 5 years, we've had about 16,000 or so unique members. That means those aren't duplicated numbers who use Fastcase, and this is easily our most used benefit at the bar. Here's the money part. So, in addition to the member benefits committee looking at this, the executive committee reviewing it, internal staff, I watched a presentation with Bill and Paula and John. We all had opportunities to get our answers, our questions answered during that time. It isn't a question of if we think this is a helpful benefit to our members, because we certainly do, especially our solo small firm litigators. The thing is that this new add-on comes with a price tag of $146,000. And that $146,000 equates to a $4 dues increase that would be on the dues notice in May. And for those of you who noticed that 272 does not equal 4, 272 rounds up to $3, but we can only go up in even numbers on when we go up in dues. So it would be a $4 dues increase. Members do already have the option to purchase Docket Alarm separately for $99 a month. And we do have a few members who do pay that now. So just to be clear, in the past, you all haven't approved new programs without considering the cost. So that should be part of your consideration today while you all listen and ask questions and vote on this. Throughout, oops, wrong button. Throughout these multiple presentations, we've had some great comments and questions from the different groups, member benefits, the executive committee, who have asked questions. I was going to go ahead and preemptively answer some of these for you all. We were asked if it will, wait. So if you all do not vote in favor of this benefit today, can we negotiate a lower rate for our members other than $99 a month? And the answer to that is no, because that would really be outside the scope of what we're able to do. We're looking at what we would be able to do for our members as a whole together. And we were asked if we could pay for less users, example like 10,000 instead of 50,000. And again, the answer to that is no, because our negotiated price is based on the numerous bar members that we have. So our amount of members is what gets us down to this 272. We were also asked how much a standalone fast case subscription cost for members of bars who don't provide fast case, and that is $195 a month. So for what our members would be getting for roughly $9 a year, if we didn't provide fast case or docket alarm to our members, they would be paying $2,500 a year for that. While we were talking about the cost, we had a very smart person Googling fast case costs, and the Florida bar came up and said that it had this optional member upgrade. And I spent some time this week on the phone with a representative, and he told me that between us in this room, that we are much better negotiators than Florida. Yay. But when we signed the contract 10 years ago with Fast Case, we got all 50 states. When Florida signed it, they got Florida. So in order for Florida members to get all 50 states, they have to pay that additional member upgrade, whereas we don't have to do that. It's already included in ours.
Go dog.
Yes. Back to our negotiation skills. We were asked if it would always be $2.72 or if it would increase each year. And per the contract, it will stay $2.72 for the duration of our fast case contract. And you can thank your member benefits committee for that, and Sheila, because I heard that at the meeting, they basically said, well, we're not going to vote for this until you agree to keep it at 272. So there you go. We were asked at the end of all those questions if it would be possible to table this vote until the spring meeting to give you all more time to think about this. And the answer to that is yes, but it would be preferred and cleaner if we could go ahead and vote on it at this meeting. So when we are looking at the dues increase at the spring meeting, you all have a complete package. But I have it on good authority from Ron, our CFO, that if you do want to table it and vote on it as a spring, he can have two options available at that point for you all to look at when you're deciding on the dues increase. You all always ask us what other bars are doing. I'm very competitive when it comes to you all because I put you up against any bar. The Texas bar actually added docket alarm 18 months ago, and they have seen a big uptick in their usage. And the last one was, well, why don't we just put this off until spring and poll the 8,000 members who logged in 2023? And ask them if this would be a good benefit if they would appreciate this. Yes, they can do that. Fastcase did provide me with those email addresses of those 8,000 people. But if you think about it, we would be asking 8,000 people who log in and use Fastcase if they would like to have a better, more robust version. And I kind of feel like the answer to that would be yes, across the board. But we can do that if that's what you all would like for us to do. Those are the questions I wanted to preemptively answer. If you all have more questions, I have Nkoyo Effiong. She's here. She is our Director of Law Practice Management. I have Sheila Baldwin. She is our member benefits coordinator with the bar. And I also have Joe Potts Vineyard, and he is the Vice President of Alliances and Strategy with Fastcase. He's the one who we have the most face time with and ask the most questions of. So Joe is on Zoom, and I'm here. Paula, Bill, John can jump into and answer any questions you all have. And please go to the mic because the people on Zoom will not be able to hear you otherwise. Thank you, Martin.
It doesn't excuse me getting up later.
Is that on? It's not on.
Will you please turn on the mic?
Push it.
Which what?
There you
Oh,
go.
there it goes. Okay. Did they tell you at all about how long it would take to add the Georgia counties? Because for me, I don't do any federal work, so those federal docket alarms aren't going to help, but
So I'm not sure of the exact number of the 159, but it is a majority of them.
how long? Do they already have that available or they're going to add that at some point in the future?
They're adding that, and this benefit wouldn't go into place until July 1. So between now and July and daily after that, they add documents every day.
And some of them are already there. They've been pulling
Yeah.
that data.
Thank you.
Hey, Martin. Do we want to elevate the fast case representative just in case
Yeah.
he wants to add?
Kyle, you can go ahead and put Joe up on the screen if you'd like.
You can stop screen sharing probably. All right, there's Joe. Joe, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. If you have any comments, please speak up.
Sure thing. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions? All right, well, in that case, is there a motion to approve this added benefit of docket alarm as presented? Is there a second?
Wait, you have a poll. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. All right, if you just put up the vote.
Heard about 112.
Okay, why don't we post the results? All right, it's approved overwhelmingly.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations. Look forward to using that.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you. All right, now we will go to the appointment to the Commission on Continued Lawyer Competency. Latoya Williams, who has served as the Chief Justice Commission on Professionalism appointee, was the appointee for that organization, but her term expired and she's eligible to serve as the BOG appointee. Is there a motion to approve the appointment to the Commission on Continual Lawyer Competency as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, let's go ahead and put the vote up.
About 102.
All right, let's go and publish the results. All right, she is approved. Congratulations, Latoya. All right, now we will move to the nominations for the ABA delegates. Robert Rothman, come on up.
President Del Campo and members of the Board of Governors, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. We're here to elect or to ask you to nominate members to the Board of Governors. To the House of Delegates of the American Bar Association. We have 3 incumbents who are seeking re-election. For post 1, that's Judge Alvin Wong of Decatur. For post 3, C. Alicia Frazier. And for post 7, Vera S. Edenfield. And in addition to that, we have 1 vacancy on the state's delegation to the House of Delegates by virtue of past President Lester Tate going on the ABA Board of Governors, by which he automatically gets a seat in the House of Delegates. We're going to recommend to you that you nominate for post 2, Glenn Hendricks, who practices at Arnold Golden Gregory, where he's a past managing partner and chair of the firm. He currently serves as chair of the State Bar's International Trade and Legal Services Committee, and he's also served for a number of years on the executive committee of the State Bar's International Law Section. Glenn has a distinguished record in the ABA, including serving as chair of the International Law Section and as one of the International Law Section's delegates to the House of Delegates, so he can hit the ground running if you nominate and elect him to post 2. Be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Robert. All
Thank you.
right. Is there a nomination for the slate of ABA delegates as presented? All right. Motion second, those will be held open for 10 days. If anybody else wants to put in for those, I guess. Okay, now we'll move on to the nominations for the State Bar officers. And we will start with a nomination for the office of Secretary of the State Bar. All right, Judge Morris, come on up.
Good morning. To our Supreme Court justices, Court of Appeals judges, other members of the judiciary, our president, members of the executive board, board of governors, and the bar. I rise to nominate my dear friend, Javon Hicks, to serve as Secretary of the State Bar of Georgia Board of Governors. I met Javon about 20 years ago when we both worked at the Fulton County DA's office and the DeKalb County District Attorney's office. Now, I'm going to take a moment to just share a little bit about how much I care about Javon and this nomination, because today is an extremely important day for me. Today is our 111th anniversary Founders Day for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So our colors are crimson and cream. Javon is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Their colors are pink and green. It is extremely difficult for me to wear those colors. But in support of Javon today, I decided to wear a pop of pink, hot pink in my earrings. So Javon, would you please stand? Now, in all seriousness, I am here because there is no one that has the heart of service and commitment to the State Bar of Georgia and our members like Javon Hicks. There are approximately 107 photographs in a PowerPoint that we are going to show as I talk to you about Javon. And at least 98% of those photographs involve Javon during some bar CLEs, activities, and Javon's interacting with members of the bar throughout the state of Georgia. Now, a few years ago, I stood before you and shared that Javon is the heart and soul of this bar, and that continues to hold true today. Javon knew at a very early age that she would be a lawyer after watching hours on end of Perry Mason. As such, she earned her undergraduate and law degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Javon has been an active member of the bar for over 30 years, a member of the Board of Governors for 18 years, and one of our executive committee members of the State Bar Board of Governors for the last 5 years. Javon's legal career includes serving as the DeKalb County State and Magistrate Courts Clerk, DeKalb County Deputy Chief Assistant Solicitor General, an Associate Magistrate Judge, an Assistant District Attorney in 3 Georgia judicial circuits, a Civil Associate conducting internal investigations in trial logistics, and a Deputy Supervising Attorney with the EPA. Javon has served as a past president of DeKalb Bar Association and on boards of Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys, DeKalb Lawyers Association, and a graduate of Leadership Georgia, Leadership Atlanta, and Leadership DeKalb. Javon's 18 years as a valuable member of the Board of Governors include serving as an officer of the investigative panel, the Commission on Continuing Lawyer Competency, and chair of the Committee to Promote Inclusion. For the last 5 years, Javon has served on the executive board where she has zealously advocated for all members of our bar and worked tirelessly to provide the best quality of services to our members, leading the bar through a series of rule change, budget controls, and wellness programming. Now I'm going to take just a moment to take you down memory lane. Do you all remember when you first met your spouse? Do you all remember that first glance, the butterflies in your stomach, and the excitement that you felt with that person? In the early 90s, two young lawyers working in downtown Atlanta, one being beautiful, talented Javon, was working at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and the other, a very handsome, successful attorney working at the City of Atlanta Law Department, Charles Hicks, met and fell in love. They wed, they had two beautiful daughters, Victoria and Sydney. At some point, Charles began to struggle with mental health issues. And because of the stigma and his fear of rejection within the legal community, Charles did not receive any help. As such, Charles began to suffer in silence, which resulted in his death. Javon, now a widow raising two young children, practicing law and just working around the clock, was able to not only survive, but because of her faith and determination to continue, became a role model for her two daughters and the community. And so now her daughter, Victoria, is an active member of the State Bar of Georgia. Let's give her a hand. So Javon channeled her pain and used her energy to support our bar through legal education, awareness, and the overall wellness of our members of the bar. During past President Robin Fraser Clark's year, Javon, Robin, and other prominent members of the bar created a video, How to Save a Life, that was shown before every CLE. During Bob Kaufman's year, Javon was a part of that movement with the State Bar Wellness Task Force. Judge Ken Hodges' tenure, Javon played an important role in our first wellness retreat in Arizona and our Use Your Six campaign that we still actively use today. During Don Jones and Sally Aiken's year, there was COVID. And this was when we offered 6 hours of free CLE credit for wellness and had over 1,400 members attend either in person or virtually. At the 2023 annual meeting with President Del Campo, through Javon's leadership and efforts in partnership with our bar leadership and members, you voted overwhelmingly and approved the State Bar Center for Lawyer Wellbeing, a first of its kind organization offering all wellness initiatives under one umbrella. In addition, the Wellness Committee has now established a 12-hour annual Wellbeing Institute in partnership with ICLE. None of this would have been possible without the sincere efforts of Javon Hicks. So I believe I have made my case, and I would ask for your support and your vote for Javon Hicks as our 2024 State Bar Secretary.
Well, right. Right. Is there a second?
There we go. Good morning. I am honored to second the nomination of Javon Hicks as Secretary of the Executive Committee of the
Board of Governors. As we all know, Javon has a proven track record of 18 years of service on the Board of Governors, as well as serving on many committees, including chairing. So with that, she is prepared and ready to serve as secretary. And as we well know, Javon has been and is a major advocate for mental wellness for lawyers. But what you may not know is what tending to mental wellness looks like for Javon. It starts with a cup of coffee as a vital part of her morning routine. But once she has her cup of Java, she's prepared and ready. And what you may not know is that Javon has, over the years, as part of her mental wellness, transformed to stay current, to put her best style forward so that she is prepared and ready to serve. And while you may know that Javon has successfully practiced many roles in her legal career, from prosecutor to magistrate to mediator, what you may not know, in tending to her mental wellness, she has successfully taken on superhero roles to include Women in Black and even Wonder Woman. And what you may not know, in furthering her mental wellness, that Javon actually practices what is taught, to include standing tall, even on a speeding boat, and without a life jacket, I must add. Spending time with special friends, communing with Mother Nature, and fashionably taking in the sunshine. But all kidding aside, as we all well know, Javon has demonstrated her unfailing commitment to promote our bar, to take leading roles in serving our bar, and she is prepared and ready to serve as secretary. Vote for Javon.
All right, thanks, Donna. All right, any other nominations for Secretary of the State Bar? All right, seeing none, those nominations will remain open for 10 days after this meeting and then to be voted on by all of the members. Okay, any nominations for Office of Treasurer of the State Bar of Georgia? I see Elf coming up. Past President Elizabeth Fight.
Treasurer, are we jumping?
I might need to be renominated for secretary.
We can mix it up. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. Special guests, Board of Governors, and members of the State Bar of Georgia. Long time no see. It's really nice sitting in the back of the room. Looks really lovely from back there. My name is Elizabeth Fight, and I am the 59th President of the State Bar of Georgia, and I rise to nominate Bill Gentry for the position of Treasurer. Bill, can you give a little wave? You might remember him from the roll call. Being cognizant that Bill is, to my knowledge, unopposed and wanting to respect this process and also your time, please allow me to be brief. I've gotten to know Bill through the years through our service on the executive committee. Bill is a family lawyer in Marietta, Georgia, which many in this room and beyond believe could be the actual center of the universe. As a family lawyer, he's seen his fair share of heated and sometimes irrational arguments, and he is no stranger to studying various piles of funds. I believe that's an accounting term, and ensuring that they are distributed as the law and court allow. He is direct and he does not hesitate to share his opinions or views, but I've never found him to be intractable. He is someone who's willing to listen. These skills will help him navigate the various opinions of our stakeholders and our legal obligations as to how our funds should and can be spent. And I think he'll be a fine treasurer. Now let's talk about his personal life, which is the reason I woke up this morning to come up here. Many of you may have met his lovely wife, Sherry. They have been married for 36 years, and you can tell they genuinely enjoy being around each other. They are avid travelers, and from what I can tell, they are each other's biggest supporters. It's truly a delight to behold. Sherry is a non-lawyer and a recently retired banking executive. Also, I have noticed over the years, and this is an incredibly shallow comment, but I'm going to make it. She is actually aging in reverse right now. It's a testament to the fact that retirement is actually good for the soul, and being around Bill for a few years won't hurt you. So if 36 years of being married to Bill Gentry can make you a literal Benjamin Buttons, then a few more years of Bill Gentry as an officer of the State Bar of Georgia is not going to hurt us. Maybe we'll even get back to pre-pandemic levels of unallocated cash and use of the bar center. You never know. So with that, thank you for your time, and I hope you will join me in supporting Bill Gentry for treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you for being brief. All right. The second, Judge Wolf.
Thank you. Good morning. So I'm Bobby Wolf. Great to see everybody here this morning. And I second Bill Gentry's nomination for State Bar Treasurer. This is my personal recommendation based on my personal knowledge of Bill's character and experience. I've known Bill for almost 30 years. He and his partners through the years have been some of my greatest mentors. And that's why it's really a big honor for me to stand in front of everybody today for this purpose. Bill has dedicated his career to navigating his clients, especially through the divorce process. And you can imagine how hard that is. But more importantly, he empowers his clients beyond the divorce process. You may know Bill wrote this book, I Want Out. So I thought it might help to prepare for this moment to read through his book, which I really recommend to everybody. I just made one mistake. I left this book on my nightstand at home without telling my wife why I had the book, which took some explaining. It all worked out, and I really hope this nomination and my second works out well for Bill. He's going to do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill also sent me a copy of that book, and my wife had the same reaction. So just be careful when you're sending that book around. All right, any other nominations for treasurer of the State Bar? All right, again, those nominations will be for 10 days after today. Okay, now we'll move on to the office of president-elect. Is there a nomination for president-elect? All right, Brandon Peak.
Good morning. Mr. President, honorable members of the judiciary, distinguished colleagues, and even you, Ivy Cadle. My name is Brandon Peak, and it is my great honor to rise in nomination of Christopher Twyman, a great Georgian, to serve as president-elect of the State Bar of Georgia. Chris, will you please stand? When Chris called me about nominating him for this position, he had only one thing to say. Brandon, remember, you are no Dax Lopez. There will be no rapping. Chris, my good friend, though I can bust a rhyme, you're safe for today. The truth is that nominating Chris for this well-deserved position is not a difficult task. Chris is truly one of the best among us and is a credit to our profession. He is a phenomenal lawyer, man of integrity and altruism. But more importantly, he's even a better person, husband, and father. I've been fortunate to work alongside Chris on cases over the years, and from that experience, I can tell you that he is smart, unflappable, thoughtful, and decisive. While he is often one of the smartest people in any room, Chris listens carefully and realizes that while speech is silver, silence is golden. Those attributes will serve him and our profession well as president-elect of the State Bar. Born and raised in Rome, Georgia, Chris has long been a leader amongst his peers. He served as president of his high school class before going on to obtain his undergraduate degree from Georgetown University and his law degree from the University of Georgia, go Dogs, where he distinguished himself academically and as part of Georgia's moot court program. After law school, Chris moved back to Rome to take care of the people and businesses in his hometown, and he's done a phenomenal job doing that over the years. He is the managing partner of Cox Byington Twyman and has a busy practice in commercial litigation, banking law, education law, and criminal defense. His skill as a lawyer has been recognized by his peers. He is a fellow in the prestigious American College of Trial Lawyers and a barrister in the Joseph Henry Lumpkin Inn of Court. He is also a graduate of Leadership Georgia and has spent considerable time traveling and meeting people throughout the state. His experience and diverse practice make him uniquely well equipped to serve as president-elect of our great organization. In terms of his bar service, I don't really need to tell you folks about that because you've seen it with your own eyes. I will say he undertook the very difficult task of chairing the State Bar Committee on Professional Liability Insurance. Thanks, Judge Hodges, for that. And as some of you may recall, you had opinions about that. And Chris navigated that process with grace and acumen. The bottom line is that when duty calls, Chris Twyman is a lawyer who steps up to serve, thoughtfully considers the opinions of others, and gets things done. We are fortunate he has continued to offer himself to service as an officer in the state bar. The final thing I want to say about Chris is this: on a personal level, he is a good man and a great friend who has never forgotten who he is or where he came from. He's always there to serve our fellow members of the bar and this organization. And it's my honor to nominate him for this important position. And I ask at the appropriate time that everyone, even Jack Long, vote in favor of his nomination. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Brandon. Do we have a second? Joyce Lewis, come on up.
Good morning, everybody. It's my honor to rise to second the nomination of Chris Twyman to serve as president-elect of the State Bar of Georgia. I've known Chris for quite a number of years, and I've seen firsthand his commitment to bar service and to the general public that we are all called to serve. As was just mentioned by Brandon Peak, before even joining the executive committee, Chris spent countless hours in service chairing the Professional Liability Insurance Study Committee between 2019 and 2021. As part of that process, he traveled the state. I hope all of us are aware of that, going to town halls to hear from all of us, to hear from our constituents, the other members of the bar, their opinions about that process. And as was mentioned, he navigated that just beautifully. In addition to his current service as the bar's treasurer and the committee responsibilities that accompany that role, and there are multiple of them, he is currently serving on other committees, including the Bench and Bar Committee, the General Counsel Overview Committee, Personnel, Insurance Coverage. Up until this year, I learned this, he also served on the board to determine fitness of bar applicants, ensuring that those who would join our profession meet the highest standards. His deep knowledge of and involvement in the bar's operations and its mission make him eminently qualified to lead the bar as its president. And I'm a second, so I'm going to be really brief here, but I do want to say this. The headline on Chris's law firm's website reads, "Strength, experience, compassion, and courtesy." Those who know Chris know that those qualities are exactly what he will bring to the bar as its president. And I urge you to join me in voting for him as president-elect. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. All right, any other nominations for president-elect? Okay, and again, those nominations will be open for 10 days after this meeting. Okay, let's move on to legislation and the Advisory Committee on Legislation. So I will call on Brandon Peak. And I want to thank Brandon, Rusty, and Mark for their hard work covering us while we continue our search for our Director of Government Affairs. That has been a big deal and they're doing a great job. So I appreciate you guys filling in while we are endeavoring to fill that position.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I also want to thank Rusty and Mark for all their help and service and guidance to me along the way. You will see we have 5 matters relating to the ACL that we'll be voting on today, and you can find those matters beginning on page 59 of your board book. The first matter that we'll be discussing is a resolution for the governor to sign recognizing April 2024 as Legal Professionalism Month. If you would like to see a copy of the resolution, it is on page 66. Governor Kemp signed this last year, and we believe it's a straightforward resolution, and the governor's been very kind to sign that in the past, and we're hopeful that he will do so in the future if this board approves it.
Thank you, Brandon. We first have to do a Keller vote. So is there a motion that this proposal is germane to the scope and purposes of the bar? Is there a second? Any discussion? All right, please put up that vote. Let's go ahead and publish it. All right, that passes. Okay, now we'll move on to the actual vote. Is there a motion to approve ACL's recommendation to support the resolution of the General Assembly recognizing April 2024 as Legal Professionalism Month as presented? Is there a second? Any discussion? All right, please put up that vote. Okay. All right, and that passes. And thank you, Sally, for championing that last year as a first year. Appreciate all your work for that. Okay, let's move on to the second one.
Second item on the ACL agenda was the recommendation for to support a $900,000 request from the legislature to fund the Georgia Resource Center. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with the Georgia Resource Center's work, Georgia is presently the only state that does not provide a statutory procedure or constitutional right to the appointment and compensation of counsel in habeas corpus proceedings, particularly in death penalty cases. The bar has supported the Georgia Resource Center for 33 years. That funding level has been maintained at $800,000 for a significant period of time, over 20 years. And when there were budget reductions across the board a couple of years ago, the funding level for the Georgia Resource Center suffered, and their funding outside the resources provided by the state bar has also unfortunately diminished over the years. So they are requesting not only the $800,000 that has traditionally been allotted, but an additional $100,000 that will restore a junior staff attorney position to serve at the Georgia Resource Center.
All right, we'll begin with the Keller vote. Is there a motion that this proposal is germane to the scope and purposes of the bar? Is there a second? Second. All right, please put that vote up. Okay, publish it. All right, that passes overwhelmingly. All right, now is there a motion to approve ACL's recommendation to support the Judicial Council's budget request for fiscal year 2025, increased funding for the Georgia Resource Center as presented? There's a second. Second. All right, any discussion? Okay, put up the vote.
1 and 2.
Okay, publish the results. All right, that passes. All right, Brandon, good. We go to the third item.
The third item on our agenda today is ACL's recommendation that the Board of Governors support for the fiscal year 2025 Judicial Council budget of $3 million to fund the Civil Legal Services Grant for victims of domestic violence. We have done this in the past, and there is no request for increased funding for this organization. And so happy to answer any questions about that, but we would ask that you consider supporting that as well.
All right, first do the Keller vote. Is there a motion? The proposal is germane to the scope and purposes of the bar. Is there a second? Second. All right, any discussion? Okay, will you please put up the vote? Okay. Right, that passes. Okay, now we'll move on to the actual vote. Is there a motion to approve ACL's recommendation to support the Judicial Council's budget request for fiscal year 2025 funding for civil legal services grants for victims of domestic violence as presented? There's a second. Second. Any discussion? All right, let's put up the vote. Perfect. Okay. All right, that passes as well. Okay, Brandon, we go to number 4.
All right, the next to last item on our agenda is with respect to civil legal services grants for medical legal partnerships. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with this program, it actually embeds lawyers in various hospitals, particularly in rural Georgia settings, to assist folks who have legal needs that would otherwise cause additional medical problems if they were not addressed from a legal perspective as well. For every $1 spent for this program, it's estimated that you save $35 in medical cost by, for instance, preventing kids from having lung issues, from living in moldy apartments and things of that nature. And so the request from the Judicial Council is to support the Judicial Council's budget request for a $419,000 amendment to the fiscal year 24 appropriation of $200,000, making a total appropriation of $619,000 for fiscal year 25 to provide grant funding for medical legal collaboratives throughout the state.
All right, again, we'll do the Keller vote. Is there a motion? This proposal is germane to the scope and purposes of the bar. Is there a second? Second. All right, then moved and second. Any discussion? Okay, will you please put up the vote? Okay. All right, that passes. Now we'll move on to the vote itself. Is there a motion to approve ACL's recommendation to support Judicial Council's budget request for fiscal year 2025, increase appropriations for medical legal partnerships as presented? All right, motion, is there a second? Any discussion? All right, if you please put up the vote. Okay. All right, that passes. All right, last but certainly not least, if you'd give that proposal, Brandon.
Yes, it's my great honor to bring this proposal forward. And I have to know that Mark Alexander wanted it noted in the minutes that he's the one who moved for approval of this judicial pay at the ACL label. So no more summary judgment being granted against you, Mark. So in all seriousness, if you will turn with me to page 84 of your board book, the ACL unanimously supported the Judicial Council's judicial compensation reform proposal. The ACL thoughtfully considered this. Lots of questions were asked. There was lots of discussion. But the bottom line is we need to ensure that our judges are compensated better in the state of Georgia. And we need to ensure that there's uniformity so that we can help attract and maintain the most qualified jurists that we can to hold those positions. We've obviously have wonderful judges throughout our state, and we need to take care of them. And we also need to attract more individuals who are willing to step up and serve. And so there's an explanation about this on page 84 of your board book. The main thing the ACL was concerned about is for our existing Superior Court judges who have county supplements, would they potentially stand to lose by if this system is adopted? And I'm not an expert on this, but the answer that we got to that question was no, because there still is an opt-in scenario for existing Superior and State Court judges. So we would ask that the Board of Governors approve the ACL support for the judicial compensation reform model.
All right, let's first do the Keller vote. Is there a motion that this proposal is germane to the scope and purposes of the Georgia Bar? Is there a second? Any discussion? All right, there not being any discussion issues. Jennifer?
You're at 99.
All right. All right, that passes. So we'll now vote. Is there a motion to approve ACL's recommendation to support the Judicial Council's judicial compensation reform proposal as presented? Is there a second? Second. All right, any discussion? Okay, will you please put up the vote? Okay. All right, that overwhelmingly passes. So congratulations, judges. We are there with you and we will support you. Thank you, Brandon, for your hard work on that.
Thank you all I'd like to thank the members of the ACL for all their hard work, and thank you all as well. I would ask Mark Middleton now and Rusty, both of y'all, if y'all want to come up and give us a brief legislative update.
I'm gonna let Mark do kind of the update on the judge's salary bill. It was dropped Friday in the hopper. It has not been signed to committee yet. Representative Rob Leverett from Elberton is the author of it, and a number of other people have signed. But it's House Bill 947. So if you want to see it or see all the details of the questions about it, it's there, and go to ledge.ga.gov and you can look it up, and it's about 20-something pages. But anyway, it'll answer any questions that y'all have about that, or if you have more after reading it, let me know. Then I'll let Mark tell you all about tort reform and the wonderful 5 days we've already had.
Well, good morning, everyone. Usually at this meeting, we stand up here and say, well, not a whole lot happened. It was a ceremonial first week, but we actually got off to a pretty fast week this year. I was talking with Rusty earlier, I was like, I don't remember being this tired this time last year. And he's like, well, last year you were on your way back from California from that football game. You didn't show up until Thursday. So it kind of put things in perspective. So, in addition to Nick Saban's many accomplishments, bringing the Georgia legislature to more efficiency is to be added to it, because all the UGA people were at work on day one, and they decided to do some things this year. Last time we were here, we talked about the fact that there was a lot of potentially some changes and some unpredictability. That voting rights lawsuit was out, and the special session had met, created some new districts, and they were sent to Judge Jones, and he approved them back in December. And so while there's not as many changes that there might have been, there still are some. Our longtime friend and colleague Barry Fleming, who was our former judiciary chair, resigned from legislature and was appointed to a Superior Court judge seat this week by Governor Kemp. And so Barry, there's a special election over in the Augusta area for his seat. Also, you may have seen that Drew Ferguson, the 3rd District Congressman, announced that he was not running for re-election, and that sent into kind of a cascade effect from there as members of the legislature are looking at that. In fact, one member, Senator Mike Dugan, resigned from legislature and is going to run for that seat. So that creates another special election. So, part of what Rusty and I do, and what with y'all's help, back in your home communities, it's just a continual education process as new people come in the legislature, and about the time that you get folks, to understand what your issues are, they're off kind of to the next thing. Among the things that happened this week were the State of the State address, and then Governor Kemp made some remarks also over at the State Chamber's Eggs and Issues breakfast. Probably the most pertinent to the most relevant to this group is that he announced, he had announced back in October, had previewed doing some, he didn't call it tort reform, but he was basically talking about doing some insurance reform, and that created some expectations. He announced at Eggs and Issues that he was setting up a commission to review insurance rates and costs, and it just remains to be seen what's going to happen with that. But it appears that it's probably less likely than more that something's going to happen this session in regard to tort reform. And I know that affects, different members of the bar in different ways. Probably the biggest thing this year is we have this huge budget surplus. And, and Rusty and I and John, we were chatting about this earlier. People see the headlines and they see that this huge pot of money's out there. And so, people from the various walks of life, whether you're at an agency level or from the bar or from, entrepreneur out in the business world, they flock to state government. And I was talking with one of the members, the leaders of the legislature on Friday, and he let me know that he had gotten more requests for the surplus money than they had money. And there's like $16 billion sitting there. So, there's a lesson in there somewhere. When we were raising our kids, we never used the word only in front of any sum of money. And I find myself all the time now saying, hey, it's only, $20 million to do this judicial reform package. So, so we're working on that. As Rusty indicated, the bills that the ACL has brought to you all and you've approved are, we have authors, we have sponsors, and those bills are underway. So we're looking for a good session. It's going to be a pretty fast session. They entered into a scheduling resolution that has us finishing up on March 28th, which is pretty quick, which is typical for an election year, but it's still, this thing's going to move pretty quickly. So Rusty and I'll be around if there are any questions afterwards. Do you have anything specific you want to share with us? And we'll look forward to it. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mark and Rusty and Brandon. And thank you for all you do. So let's give them a round of applause. And with our comments about the appointment of former Representative Fleming, I'll be remiss if I didn't say that our very own Joe Dent, who has been a Board of Governors member for a long, long time, was nominated, and he was the only nominee. So it was a good thing that he got appointed. If not, he would have. So congratulations, Joe. You're going to do a great job for the city of Georgia. All right, so we will now go on to my president's report, and I am happy to report that the priorities that I set forth at the annual meeting are moving along quite nicely. The building improvements have begun and by and large have been performed at or under budget. With regard to the website, we've been working very diligently on this priority. We actually met last month with a developer and a bunch of lawyers around the state to discuss how our membership utilizes our website and the ways in which it could be improved in terms of functionality and ease of use. We now have approved a new navigation and homepage design and many key interior page designs for the new site. Again, we're still on schedule and on budget, and we expect to have a beta version by the annual meeting in June and a target launch date of July 1st, 2024. So that is great news. I also continue to stress our wellness, attorney well-being initiatives. Every time I have a chance to speak at different bar associations and meetings. In fact, a young lawyer came up to me at a Georgia Hispanic Bar holiday function and said, you know, I heard you speak about the wellness issues and the matters that are coming up and the initiatives that the bar has and the Use Your Six campaign, and I never heard about it. And I went back to my office at the U.S. Attorney's Office and I told everybody I knew about it. And several members have begun using that program. So you are, advocates for those programs. Talk to your constituents about all of these benefits that we give to our members. And due to the increased use of that benefit, we probably will need to increase the budget for providers, but I believe that is a really good use of bar dues. I also had the pleasure of attending the Southern Conference of Bar Presidents in West Virginia, and we had really good representation from the state of Georgia. And it was interesting to see the issues that affect the different bars from the South. And I'll tell you that wellness was at the top of the list of everybody's issues that they are dealing with. So we are right there at the forefront once again. Another issue that is sort of, I don't want to say near and dear to my heart, but something that I'm seeing more and more often, and that's UPL, the unauthorized practice of law and runners and all those things. And we are going to work at revamping our UPL department. As probably a lot of you have seen, this issue is getting worse and worse. Dax's son was involved in an accident not too long ago, and he kept getting phone calls from lawyers or people representing lawyers, unsolicited. So we know for a fact this issue is real and it's affecting Georgians, I believe, in a negative way. And so we need to do everything in our power to ensure that that conduct is curtailed. And Dax actually, and is it Michael Jeffroy, who's here as well? They are heading that committee. So thank you guys for your hard work on that. The department itself has investigated several instances of improper conduct by lawyers and runners, and we want to improve our efforts in this area to ensure that the public is protected from these unethical practices. I want to commend two of our very own, Keith Gamage, Solicitor of Fulton County, and Donna Stribling, Solicitor of DeKalb County, in their prosecution of these cases. And I know there are several prosecutions ongoing for that. So thank you guys for that. And I want to commend them for that. Absolutely. You know, Brandon had me at the Columbus Bar Association. We had a nice luncheon. So thank you, Brandon, for inviting me. I continue to talk to bar associations throughout the state in Columbus. I spoke to the Sandy Spring Bar Association earlier this week, the Georgia Hispanic Bar, and many other bar associations. So that's been a joy to talk to all those folks. I also had the pleasure of talking to the Judicial Council meeting, and I gave a report, again, including our support of the judicial compensation package. I actually added that issue to our agenda, and Brandon brought it to a vote. And as you've heard, it was unanimously approved, and you have unanimously approved that recommendation as well. So thank you for that. That is very important. As somebody who left the bench because he could not afford being a judge anymore, I know that is very, very important. And I know a lot of judges have left the bench because they just can't afford it. Not because they don't love what they do, not because they don't see there's a value in what they do, but just simply cannot afford it. So thank you for your support of that. I know the courts, Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, and all other judges are very thankful for that. One of the issues also that we handled early in my presidential year was hiring of our Deputy General Counsel. Avi, who chaired that personnel committee, took the lead on starting the process of finding a replacement, which was very difficult, to Jenny Middleman. And we are had several rounds of interviews, and we settled on Andrea Morrison, who is here. Andrea, raise your hand. And she worked at General Counsel's office, and she was the unanimous pick for the committee, and she will be starting in that role in the near future, and she's transitioning very well already. I know she's working with the Supreme Court, and so we look forward to all the things that you're going to do, so congratulations, and we're glad to have you on board for that very, very important role. Having said that, I want to take a moment of personal privilege to honor Jenny Middleman and her excellent, excellent work over many, 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 many years. Jenny started her career at Legal Aid and was there for about 4 years. And then she came to the bar, and she's been with us for 34 years. That is a really, really, really long time. She started law school when she was 12. But she is the current Deputy General Counsel for Discipline. She supervises lawyers who handle the investigations and prosecutions of lawyer grievances, and there are lots of them. And I will tell you that as the complaint department of the State Bar, fielding hundreds of emails from irate clients about the conduct of their lawyers, I can tell you that they do a lot of work and a lot of really good work, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you, Jenny, for all you do. She is a creative, smart, practical lawyer who's provided sound advice to Georgia lawyers throughout the years. I know the entire bar loves you. They really, really do. That's all I keep hearing. And they look for your support and advice. And I know you are a fierce supporter of your coworkers. Thank you for that. Her husband, Bill Thompson, who incidentally, when I was a summer clerk at a law school at Neely and Blair, I worked with him many, many years ago. And he is now gone to Atlanta Legal Aid after many years in private practice. And I think she's going to set an example for him by retiring. So hopefully they can enjoy all that you guys have cultivated. They have a son who's a lawyer. I believe he's here in Atlanta, and a daughter who's a landscape architect. She's a well-known dog rescuer. She has 3 rescuers of her own. So I want to just thank you, Jenny, for all that you do and all that you have done for the state of Georgia and for the State Bar. So I want to give you a big round of applause for all you've done. Thank you. Okay, I am coming to the end, but I do want to personally thank Ron, Sarah, Paula, Damon, and Bill for all that they do. As board of, am I missing something? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. There's some people that want to say a couple of things about Jenny. I apologize. So come on up, Seth. I apologize.
Good morning. Well, I worked really hard on this speech, and I want to thank Tony for giving. I'm going to say some of the same things Tony just said, but after 20 years on the Board of Governors, I didn't think I'd have another chance to address this august body, but it is my honor and privilege to say a couple of things about Jenny that are appropriate. Jenny hails from Richmond, Virginia, a city known for refined culture that is epitomized by Jenny's politesse. For example, she is a strong advocate, but her opponents know her as unfailingly dignified, polite, and respectful. Jenny graduated from the University of Virginia and Emory Law School, where she was awarded the Order of the Coif, which is what you get if you're in the top 10% of your class. She took a position with the Atlanta Legal Aid Society where, as Tony said, she met her future husband, Bill Thompson. She also met Paula Frederick at Atlanta Legal Aid Society. And not long after Paula decamped for the State Bar, she lured Jenny over here in 1989. Jenny spent, I think it's 35 years, faithfully, diligently, and brilliantly working in the State Bar General Counsel's office in the important area of lawyer discipline. For years, she's been the office manager and the staff supervisor of the disciplinary unit. And over her long career, Jenny has developed an amazing storehouse of institutional and legal knowledge that will be well nigh impossible to replace. Jenny has been active in leadership roles on numerous committees with the American Bar Association, the National Association of Bar Counsel, and the Atlanta Bar Association. And she has also taught professional responsibility as an adjunct professor at Georgia State Law School. So after this stellar career, Jenny gets to retire. And Bill and Jenny have a place on Kiowa Island where Jenny loves the beach. She visits there often with family and with friends from law school. And they have two children, Sydney, a landscape architect, and Jim, a lawyer, and they're both here in the Atlanta area, so that's great. And Jenny is an excellent cook, and so now she'll have plenty of time to keep Bill well fed. And finally, there are 3 reasons why Jenny won't be bored in retirement. She and Bill recently looked into adopting a dog from the Lifeline shelter to replace their dear Miss Pie, who passed away in 2020. And they came upon a trio of bonded dogs who could only go as a set. Kyle. And here they are. So there's Downey, an 11-pound mutt, Charlie, a 55-pound golden doodle, and the aptly named Atlas, a 135-pound Malamute. Now, how Downey got the pillow, I don't know. Now, just walking these dogs will be a workout that will keep Jenny fit. And I doubt that they will be harder to wrangle than all the lawyers Jenny has had to deal with over the years. So good luck in your well-deserved retirement, Jenny, and thank you for your service to the bar these many years.
Thanks, Seth. I'm David Lipscomb from Gwinnett. In keeping with Jenny, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I have served on the Rules Committee, Disciplinary Rules Committee since 1993. So I've got 30 years with Jenny. And I can tell you that I can echo what everybody says about Jenny, and including Seth, is that she's smart, she's reasonable, she's easy to work with. In her committee work, she would do what Cliff Frazier used to do with presidents, kind of steer you back onto the right track and make you think it was your idea. Because occasionally I get off track. And she's always willing to, when I said, well, you know, what do they do in California? Well, the next meeting, she'd tell me what they do in California. So the kind of research that she does, she's well prepared. It was always amazing to me to have somebody like that, especially given the fact that Bill Smith and I used to have such little for flights. And at any rate, so she was always a breath of fresh air. I'm going to miss you on that committee because I'm still there. And Jenny, of course, was a prosecutor, and I occasionally represent lawyers in disciplinary matters. And again, a breath of fresh air. She didn't always agree with me, even though I was always right. But we managed to get through those cases well, and she did a great job, and I'm going to miss her. I understand leaving lawyer discipline and going to the dogs. That's a step up. I get it. I've been trying to encourage her not to retire, and I haven't agreed that she could, but nobody asked me. And I'm trying to encourage her to work as an expert witness in some malpractice cases that I have. I guess I'm competing with the wrong people. Yeah. Anyway, I'm happy for you. Sad for us. We're going to miss you. But thanks for all the years you put in. You truly are irreplaceable.
Thank you, David. Is Judge Edwards here by any chance? No, okay. All right. Again, Jenny, thank you for all you have done. We really appreciate all you've done. As I was saying I wanted to thank the senior staff, Ron, Sarah, Paula, Damon, and Bill. You know, when we serve as Board of Governors members and then on the executive committee, and then you become an officer, you realize how much work these great folks do. But then when you become president and you get to work with them on a nearly daily basis, you really get a sense of what it is they do, the enormity of the task, and all of the people that they supervise and all the great work that they do. So in closing, I just want to say thank you to all of you for the excellent work. It's been a joy working for you. And as I hit the hump and on my way down, we're right in the middle of my bar year. I just want to say thank you for making these first 6 months as great as they have been. So thank you guys so much. All right, that is my president's report. We will now move on to our treasurer, Chris Twyman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. Do want to direct your attention to pages 85 through 98 of your board book, which shows the financials and the results through October 31st, 2023. 6 brief highlights from those pages. As I mentioned first, this report reflects the first 4 months of the bar year, the fiscal year through October 31st. And we're following our normal game plan just for these first few months. And historically, these months are or have the least amount of activity. So we continue to do the work of the bar with really no financial surprises. 2, I do want to direct your attention to pages 87 through 89. The summary of all of these expenses, and in particular, for the bar, we budgeted a loss of approximately $564,000. That does not that's excluding bar center operations. For the bar center operations, we budgeted a net loss of approximately $46,600. And based on the actual results through October, there are no significant negative surprises there. Third, pages 95 and 96 of your bar book show the donation levels for the legislative fund and for GLSP, and certainly want to thank everyone for those donations. You'll notice that those contributions to both programs have significantly increased year over year, and so that is much appreciated. Now, the financials have been completed through November, and again, no significance to note there. 5th point, and as the President Del Campo mentioned, we are beginning to expend some of those amounts of unallocated cash for those designated projects that the President mentioned. And finally, I'll say this, and I think this is a very big point to highlight. The audit for our financials for the year that ended June 30th, 2023 was completed. We are pleased to report that there are no audit adjustments that were to be made by our auditors. That's a big deal. And so thank you to Damon and his staff, and in particular to Ron Turner for all of their great work. They've got us in a great position. That is my report.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. All right, we will now move on to the executive director's report. So Damon.
Thank you, Mr. President. So our report on operations is intentionally concise, not due to any lack of activity, but because our focus has ensured everything is in order. Even as we continue to find ways to make our departments, to make our work better. All of it, all we do is designed to be consistent with the bar's mission and to improve the quality of legal services. Internally, we continue to gather information to support a proposed operational budget. We are staying focused on our operational priorities for the year, especially as it relates to 104 Marietta Street. We can't wait for a detailed report to be ready on that work as it continues. But if you have questions, you know where I am. But if it's okay, I'd like to spend the balance of my time with my own thanks. Thanks always to our staff and the teams in Atlanta, Savannah, and Tifton for their work supporting our members. We know things are working because we hear from you, and we're grateful for that feedback. but it's due particularly to dedication and invaluable contributions and brilliant ideas being made by all of them. Thanks also to our liaisons with the court. We're grateful for their partnership, clever ideas, and ongoing support. And if I have not been, I want to be clear with our thanks for our officers and our executive committee members. They are engaged, they are resilient, and they are smart, and they are so committed to the excellent work of the bar that it makes reports like this easy. And you all should be proud. You all know this commitment by them ain't for the weak, and all of them have been, as they have been with leadership teams of the past and currently are with Tony as president, doing some really good work. So we are grateful to them, and when you see them, thank them too. Mr. President, that's all I have, but I will answer any questions here or around in the hall. Thanks.
Thank you, Damon. Appreciate you. Okay, we'll now move on to the Young Lawyers Division report. And I want to echo what somebody said earlier. Excellent, excellent party yesterday. If you didn't go, you missed a really, really fun event. I saw Bert dancing and took his 6'7" frame all the way to the ground. I didn't know he could move like that. So well done.
Thank you, President Del Campo. I feel like y'all can hear me. I'm not going to move it. My name is Brittany Browning. I'm president of the Young Lawyers Division. We had some fantastic dancing happening, but really, I would love to give our first shout out to our Leadership Academy classes with us today. And for those that were not faint of heart and have stayed, please rise so that we can all applaud you and welcome you. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We have 32 members of our Leadership Academy class. It is an incredibly large class, and I wanted to give a special shout out to our past presidents that spoke yesterday about why they're involved in the state bar and how they can leverage their efforts and talents to help out. And for many, this is their first ever Board of Governors meeting, and I'm sure that they're enthralled and that they're enjoying all of it. I can tell by the enthusiasm on their faces. So yesterday was our Young Lawyers Division mid-year meeting. We had a fantastic turnout. I wanted to give a special thank you to Justice Penson, who came to give greetings and remarks from our Supreme Court. As Tony mentioned, our signature fundraiser was last night. It was an amazing time. If you weren't with us, it's okay. You can still participate because we have our QR code out front. It's going to support the public interest internship program, which is part of the YLD. But what it does is it gives grants to unpaid internship opportunities in the public sector. It's very important for recent grads and law students. We had Elle Haynes with us last night, who is a recipient, and she spoke about how wonderful her time was in public service. And I think it's just wonderful for us to encourage folks that are interested in that field to pursue it. And what we can do to support them is by making donations. So while you're on your way out, feel free to find that QR code. Also, our service project for the Young Lawyers Division, if you guys saw the message, was we are collecting new socks for the MLK Beloved Community Service Project. Such a wonderful time because guess what Monday will be? Martin Luther King Day. And so with that, we are supporting our friends and neighbors who are unhoused that would otherwise not have socks and such things. So if you have donations, we are still collecting them near where registration was. I know that box, I'm looking at Jessica, that box is still out there. And if you have not had a chance to bring anything, there is a QR code for their Amazon wish list that would directly just get delivered to the center to help them in their efforts. On February 1st, we will be having our annual legislative luncheon. Tickets will go on sale next week, and we will be down near the Capitol. As a shout out, as a former AG employee, beautiful, come on down. And so nobody is surprised. The Legal Food Frenzy will be kicking off in April. You will hear from our co-chairs. Our goal is very ambitious this year. We want to raise $1 million, and I think we can do it. So be on the lookout because we actually will be in the middle, I think at the beginning of the competition. I'm looking at Jessica. When we are at this spring meeting. So you'll actually want to be registered before that for your fundraising for your firms, your offices. You have questions, reach out to me, reach out to our co-chairs. I was going to give a plug also for Rich Harris. I don't know if he's in the room or not, But the high school mock trial kicks off in February. We do need about 600 volunteers. You do not have to be a YLD member. And it will be all over the state for high school students that do mock trial. So they're just short to our commitments. When you go in, you don't actually have to be a litigator. I'm gonna get rid of the myth. You don't have to be a litigator. You can come on down and watch and judge and just support students that are interested in mock trial who may become future lawyers. This is a good way to pipeline that. We also have the intrastate moot court competition coming up in March on the 15th and 16th. We do need judges still for that. It is appellate, so just preface that. If you're interested, reach out and let us know. We will be joining you guys again for our spring meeting at Brasstown Valley. The annual meeting will be back together. And I would just love to give a shout out to all of the judges and support we've had so far. We had a fantastic meeting in Charleston for our own standalone meeting. And a shout out to Justice Colvin, who came and did a fireside chat with us. And our judicial law clerks, I wanted to give a special shout out. I know Judge Whitaker was in the room. I see her over there. Hello. Her, Judge Doyle, Justice Colvin spoke to our judicial law clerks, and I'm very grateful for y'all for taking the time to speak with them and for folks that were interested in being staff attorneys. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you for the excellent work you're doing, Brittany. All right, now I'd like to call in Carly Greer, I'm the Chief Justice Committee, Commission on Professionalism.
Good morning. And of course, I do have a PowerPoint. I am going to run through it really, really quickly because I know everyone wants to get out and enjoy their Saturday, but a lot going on that I want you to know about between now and our next board meeting. So these are some of our commission members, and I want to start by thanking them. And of course, our chair, Chief Justice Michael P. Boggs, for all they do to support professionalism. First, I'd like to let you know that the 24th Annual Justice Robert Benham Awards are coming up on April 17th. Please mark that date. It will be a free ticketed event for which you have to RSVP because it's at the Nathan Deal Judicial Center. Space is limited. Our award recipients for this year from Judicial District 2, Michael Toberick. From Judicial District 4, Vicki Kimbrell with the Georgia Legal Services Program. Judicial District 7, the Cobb County area, Sam Owens. Judicial District 8, Judge Kathy Palmer. And Judicial District 10, Judge Shavita McCamey. Thank you to those of you for submitting nominations. Our Lifetime Achievement Award recipient is Jeffrey Smith from Judicial District 5. So we got great representation from all over the state. Thank you all for submitting those nominations. And yes, please give them a round of applause. I also do want to take a moment to thank our early sponsors because without them, the awards program would not be possible. We do not use any bar dues money or professionalism fee money, but it is voluntary contributions. And Greenbrook Charg is our platinum sponsor. Kilpatrick Townsend is our early silver sponsor. Gentry Law Firm, thank you, Bill. Sutton Law Group, thank you, Daryl. And our nonprofit and government City of Atlanta Law Department led by Honorable Nina Hickson and me. All right. For more information about the awards, because we will continue to update and provide updated information, there's a QR code, and the QR code is also in your board book. Everything that I'm talking about today, you can find either a QR code or a link in your board book. So I really am going to breeze through all of this. Coming up next Tuesday, a week from Tuesday coming, we have a CLE coming up. This is backed by popular demand. Judge Duffy did a CLE for us a couple of years ago, and it was very well received. And so we're going to do a sort of Q&A fireside chat. Kevin Patrick will be asking questions. Judge Duffy will be responding, with, of course, the focus being on professionalism. Registration is open now. The link and the QR code are, again, in your board book. All right, coming up on March 28th, right before that grace period deadline, because of course you're supposed to complete your CLE by December, we have another CLE coming up, Ethics and Professionalism During Career Transactions. This will be a virtual only CLE from March 28th from 9 to 11. Registration will be coming soon and not in your board books, but you can find now on the commission website. And I should say, I'm doing these two events in conjunction with the State Bar's Committee on Professionalism. So I do want to acknowledge them and the chair, Michael Herskovitz, and all of the committee members that help with this. These are our confirmed panelists. You'll find in your board book the topics that we're going to cover. 1 hour of ethics, 1 hour of professionalism is what we'll be requesting CLE credit for. And what I especially love about this panel, it will range in age from a lawyer who's been practicing 46 years, if you can believe it, especially if you've seen her, Judge Glenda Hatchett, to a law school JD candidate from Georgia State University, Tony and Brittany. And including young lawyers like, I don't know if Samantha is here with the YLD Leadership Academy. Are you here, Samantha? But we're going to have a wide range of participation, so please join us for that. QR code links in your board book. Connect with a colleague. Are Carlos Villela or Kathy Hampton here today? Carlos, I'm going to have him just speak a little bit about it. Carlos is heading the sort of resolution efforts that you heard about. Thank you for passing that. We are very grateful. Kathy is our other co-chair and working on prizes. But I'm going to let Carlos talk a little bit about that in your board book, QR code. And finally, Law Day. And although we celebrate Law Day in May, we're asking for volunteers now, and you can sign up now to do a Law Day project. And we're asking you to identify a school, Rotary Club, Girl Scout troop, faith-based organization. Who do you want to talk to about lawyers and what lawyers do? Now, the theme is determined by the ABA. This year is Voices of Democracy. The ABA's focus is going to be a little bit different. The ABA is focusing on elections in general. But given that we will have nonpartisan judicial elections in May, and that we need our focus to be on things related to the practice of law, the Law Day talking points that the Professionalism Committee is putting together will focus on the judicial branch, its importance, and the importance of nonpartisan judicial elections, you know, why judges can say certain things or can't say certain things. So our Voices of Democracy focus will be on judicial elections and the importance of the judicial branch in our 3 branches of democracy. And so we're doing that with 2 bar committees, Committee on Professionalism, as well as Local and Voluntary Bar. And with that, Kyle, if you could flip me back to connect with a colleague, I'm going to let Carlos speak briefly on that, and then you can go home almost. Thank you.
Oh, wow, what pressure. So I am all that stands between you all and going home. Very quickly, good morning. My name is Carlos Villela. I am one of the co-chairs for Connect with a Colleague, along with Ms. Kathy Hampton. Connect with a Colleague is a program we've been doing for several years now. And basically it's been modeled after Cincinnati Bar, LA Bar. They have kind of Take Your Adversary to Lunch, if you all are familiar with it. Basically, the point of the program is our observations have been that cases tend to resolve much quicker if the lawyers get along with each other. So to that end, we have kind of made it a bit of a program to, oh, it's just me now. You know, if you could just take your adversary, your adversary or somebody who you're not familiar with, or somebody who is not in your firm, to lunch during the month of April, and you send that information into, I think it's an email address we had on the flyer, and that would enter you to win a prize. And the 2 grand prizes that we have lined up so far are 4 Atlanta United tickets, courtesy of Kevin Patrick Law, and 4 Atlanta Hawks tickets, courtesy of Kathy Hampton. So we are still looking for sponsors. Those are our top 2 sponsors right now. So if you definitely want to sponsor, please contact us, and we will definitely get you on the sponsor list. If you want to participate, it is just as simple as going out to lunch, taking a picture of yourselves, and sending your entry into us, and we will go from there. All right.
Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate you. And Carlos, thank you for all that you do. I want to call on Judge Chris Edwards. We told him to be here at 11 and we went a little faster than anticipated. So Judge Edwards, if you please want to come up, you want to say a few words about Jenny. Come on up. You can go down.
Where are you? You can't hide from me. As a Superior Court judge and then making transition back to practicing law a couple years ago, I can't tell you how many times I've had to call Jenny and how she has been the pinnacle of professionalism. She has been a stalwart of fairness. She, I guess, sort of a litmus test for me is to what extent does anyone allow politics or the consideration of politics to enter into the consideration of their professional judgment. And that is anathema to her. And in that I find a kindred spirit. And of course it's everywhere, but it's also doesn't belong in that office, not a bit. I can't say anything more important about that, but you've also become my friend. It is with deep regret that I contemplate the idea of not being able to call you. And so many times, and they'll all remain secret, and we'll take them to the grave, about all the things that I've had to talk to Jenny Middleman about as the former Chief Judge of Superior Court of the Griffin Judicial Circuit. But in all those things, you have been my stalwart, faithful friend. You have not only given me I was never disciplined, but you have, I guess maybe I should cover that. But I've certainly been deeply grateful to you for all the guidance that you've given me. You have authentically advanced civilization by advancing the rule of law. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your selflessness. And thank you for being my friend.
Thank you, Judge. All right, I'll also direct your attention to the written reports, which are on pages 114 through 129 of the board book, and read that at your own time. Any old business that we need to address or take care of? All right, I want to call on Stacy Heydrich for some new business. So Judge Heydrich, if you would please come up.
Morning again. I promise I'll be quick because I know I'm probably standing in between us leaving and us being here. So we just wanted to let folks know that several of us have started a voluntary bar association. It is the Jewish Bar Association, formerly known now as J-Bar. I just wanted to let folks know that we exist. This has been an idea that has been percolating among several of us for many years. And we're like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. And we never did. And in September, Judge Jay Roth from Fulton County, myself and attorney Darren Tobin sat down and said, all right, we really need to do this. And I was actually doing the Evite at home on Saturday, October the 6th, getting ready to send it out. And then Sunday, October 7th happened. We initially thought we'd have 10 and 15 people. We could do it in my living room over coffee. And we had over 100 people express an interest in attending our first meeting. We did not intend to be exclusive of anybody when we sent out the initial list. We just were starting from scratch, didn't know who would be interested. If anybody is interested, please see me after the meeting and I'll be happy to give you the information. You do not have to be Jewish to be a part of this bar association. And so we've had a couple of meetings, we had a Hanukkah party, and we're just kind of getting off the ground and hope to have a lot more activities, social, CLE, community service, all sorts of things that all of these amazing voluntary bar associations do. So let me know if you're interested, and thanks so much. Great to see everybody. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Thanks, Judge. We appreciate all you do in DeKalb County. Okay, any other new business? Anyone sees a reason why we need to go in executive session? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? A second. All right, we don't even need to vote on that. We are adjourned. Have a wonderful day, folks.